Hey, what's up, everybody? This is my first video. I'm going to be talking about recreating yourself. I've been reading the book, The 48 Laws of Power. And, I just want to kind of touch bases on some things that stood out to me. So, first, we're going to talk about character. Um, when you think about character, you think, uh, when I think of character, I think of what you may stand for, what you represent. Um, in your beliefs, moral values, and things of that nature. I feel like all of those things make up your character. And in the book, it was just saying like your character. Um, it was just saying for the most part that the character you have been born with is not necessarily who you are. Which to me it makes sense because in life all we do is we're kind of like being trained. We every day it's either this, is that. They say what's good, what's bad. Um, so when you think about your character not necessarily being who you are, you start thinking about maybe like your friends, peers, and family, the people who help shape your personality. So again, that's not necessarily who you are because if somebody is always teaching you something, that means somebody else has control over you. And when you're talking about recreating yourself, you're talking about changing things about yourself. That means that's a power that you have. A lot of us, we allow, society, people's opinion of who we, of who they think we are, affect some of our decisions. Sometimes we won't do the things that we want to do because of other people's decisions. And that's not a good thing. The only power you have is in your choices and being able to choose the things that you want to do and becoming the person that you want to come. In the book, it talked about the Promethean uh, task, the Promethean strategy. Their strategy and what it really means is creativity and boldly being original. A lot of people, and I'm pretty sure we all are aware of this, like a lot of people, they think the same. Uh, we do the same things, whether it be, I believe, whatever's on TV. I believe everything that's being taught to me by this TV or based off of what other people is trying to teach you. So it's a lot of things that can affect us, especially when you're talking about us living this life. And in the book is just saying take control of your life. Stop allowing others that ability to limit and mold you in their image. You got to recreate yourself. You got to determine what type of individual do you want to be. If you want to be a man of power, of respect, then you take actions to become that man of power as well as that man of respect. It's things that go into recreating yourself. It boils back down to self evaluation, self consciousness. Um, these things go into becoming a better person. In the book, it stated that you must demand for yourself the power to determine your position in the painting. As we all know, life is what you make it. Like, life doesn't stay one way and that's just the way that it goes. We all know life changes based off of, well, your life can change based off of decisions that you make, whether good or bad. So you got to determine where you stand in the picture, where you stand in the painting. You can't let somebody else be an artist for your life because your life is a painting and you are that artist. You are responsible with making sure that that painting represents what it is that you want it to represent. No one else is responsible for that. People would like to try to tell you the life that you need to live, the things that you need to do, when maybe they probably don't even got their self together and they're not doing all the things that they need to do. So you got to remember that you are an artist in your life, and this painting it's only going to be as beautiful as you created. So, steps to recreating yourself in the 48 Laws of Power is talked about being self conscious, being aware of yourself, and take control of your appearance and your image. You got to learn self control. You got to be an individual who knows who they are, whether it be what your weakness is, what your strengths is. You got to know what these things are, because if you don't, then you're going to easily be manipulated to believe a certain thing, or you're going to be easily manipulated to do certain things. But when you're self-conscious of, when you're aware of who you are, and you know what it is that you're supposed to be doing and the things that you want in life, it's nothing that nobody can do, say, to knock you off of your focus, because you took the time out to self-evaluate oneself. Um, you took the time out to maybe put yourself in positions where you knew it may be uncomfortable, but you learned that you grew into a better, stronger individual than what you were when the situation occurred. No, in life, a lot of times we could get held down by a lot of the things that go on in our life based on the choices that we make. But you see the key word, the choice is you. The word is you. The choices that you made is the determination of what your life is. You know, you never want to give somebody power over your life. You only got one life. It's easy to fall victim to the peer pressure, or fall victim to what society tells you is right and is wrong, or how to think. It's easy to do that because that's what everybody is doing. It's harder for a person to be like, I'm going to stand out amongst the crowd. I'm going to be that individual who does something different, who doesn't think the same way that this society thinks. That person is a person who's bold, who doesn't mind standing out, who doesn't mind uh, being the individual who rocks the boat. When recreating yourself, you got to make sure that you're not easily grasped. People shouldn't be able to determine who you are. You're supposed to be able to make people see who you are based off of how you see yourself and the things that you want to accomplish. So you want to make sure that you keep that power for yourself. Never give your life over to anyone who probably don't even got control over their own life. People gonna always try to get you to do things that benefit them, but you as an individual got to know yourself and know what makes sense to you. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself in a whole situation where you're not trying to be in. You got good actors and you got bad actors. The good actors are the ones who are able to adapt, who's able to adapt with the moments, not get caught up in emotions. They're able to remove themselves from that moment, and able to adapt to the situation, whether good, bad, happy, sad. They're able to adapt to that because they're not in a box. It's not You're not an individual that a person could grasp. You can walk around all day and people think that you're happy, but you know why? That's because you're a good actor. A bad actor walks around with his feelings and everything on his shoulder, feeling like everybody's against them and always down, So you make sure in your life you strive to be that good actor. You strive to be that individual no one can really grasp or understand, keeping mystery and keeping people wondering what it is that you're doing, or what you're going to do. Because again, you are the dictator of your life. You are the individual who has control over that. Just because you start off life one way doesn't mean that your life has to be that way your entire life. We see all the time people start off uh, maybe not doing what some people may consider to be right, to switch over to be doing things that everybody sees as right. Whether it be you talking about Jay-Z, and that's just one example of an individual who some people may be like, well, he started out his life wrong, but then look what he done did. You know, he got himself his own record label. He got himself his own sports management company. He he got Tidal, you know, a streaming service for artists. It's different things that he has his hands in, but it's not one thing that you could say this is what he does, because he does multiple things. But that comes with recreating yourself and understanding that your life is what you make it. It's not what society says your life can be. It ain't these statistics that they try to throw out there. Like, them statistics, in my opinion, doesn't do anything but feed perception. And when you feed perception, you can give a false one. So, you know, you want to make sure that you're not allowing everyone else to dictate your life. You want to make sure that you got that control. That's the one thing that you can control. Everything else is out of your control. One thing you got to remember is it's power in a decision. It's power in the choice. You got to remember to always look at all angles of a decision that you try to make. Um, Look at all outcomes for choices that you make, because you don't want to look up and turn around and realize like you didn't live the life that you want to live because you allow others to dictate you. Um, Stage two of recreating yourself is creating a memorable character, one that compels attention, that stands out above others in the crowd. So when I say make a memorable character, it's not to say that you're portraying someone that you're not. That's not what I'm saying. When I say make a memorable character, it's to say you know who you are and who you want to be, right? So if you know who you are and who you want to be, what are you going to do? You're going to start behaving that way. And one thing that I am aware of is that the power of thought. You know, what you think can become a reality. If you think of yourself in a negative light, then that's how your life is going to reflect. But if you see your life as something positive that you can accomplish and do the things that you want to do, and you take those steps towards that, you can become, man, you can be president if you want to. You know, that's not something that's not you can't grasp, you know. But you just got to figure out what are you going to do to make you stand out from the crowd, because everybody is looking alike. Everybody is looking like twins out here in this world. Nobody's thinking for themselves. A lot of people just go off of what society says is how. I don't care. You talking about trends? That's ranging from trends, politics, whatever it is that you could think of. Everybody's being influenced by everybody else. But guess what? It's the individual who knows how to stand out, who becomes successful and does the things that they want to do because they didn't buy into what was taught to them or what someone said to them. You always want to make sure you keeping people at awe. You never want to reveal all of your plans. You want to keep some things sacred, some things to yourself, at least until you accomplish them. Because once you accomplish them, it catches people off guard. When you talk, when you're just an individual who does a lot of talking and you're not doing no action, anything that you say, people will look at you and be like, man, that's just talking. He's just talking some bull. He ain't talking nothing. He ain't talking no real stuff. You know what I mean? So in the book, it says you have to practice self-control, not give up every detail of what it is that you're trying to do. You must hide your intentions. You can't just give out those intentions and the things that you want to do, because what you're doing is you're taking the suspense away from everything. No one to look at you as if, like, oh man, like I ain't expect them to do that, or you know, or you can even say what you're gonna do, but you got to make sure you're about that action. If you ain't about that action, then you just wasting your time, you wasting your breath. Um, Also, in this chapter of recreating yourself, it's stated that you want to make sure that you never overreact to anything, because, and I can believe that, because overreacting to situations or things that happen to you in your life, and holding on to those things and overreacting can actually be a detriment. It's counterproductive. You know, you never want to overreact to situations. You always want to take your time, try to analyze what's going on, and visualize and understand what all of the outcomes could be. And then at that point, you make a logical decision. One thing I've learned, as humans, we are not logical. We react off of emotion, prejudices, and our own self gain. So you got to learn to play many different roles in this life. So you got to learn to recreate yourself. Peace.